Brews and Boxing. We're back. It's the first of the month. Hey, it's the first of the month, which means it's Filthy Five time. Filthy Five. We're doing the 130 division. After much discussion, I wanted to do a different division, but I lost out on a 2-1 vote. Matty Bush does not vote. So anyway, that's what we have there. But we got a good show. We have a lot of great fights. We got a review from last weekend, unbelievable fights, and a very super fight coming up this weekend that the judge is going to pay for, so that's even better. But introducing with us, as always, going around the panel of experts, starting with Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, what's up?
Yeah, you know, 17-6, the Yankees on a 10-game winning streak hold the best record in baseball right now. And quickly, I don't normally do this early in the show, but happy birthday to our boy, The Rock. And I've got a little thing here. He has autographed it for me. One night only. There you go, dog. I'll drink to that.
I wish you would have told me you were busting that out because I have the same book, but mine's signed by Al Snow.
What?
So I could have had it up there, which is awesome.
Stop it. Too early.
Nope.
Hey, he's just appealing to Filthy Rich's millions and millions. Thanks, Rich, but just leave me hanging on that one, buddy. All right. Always with us, as always, is the Judge, Jimmy James. As you can tell, Judge is already done with us for today. Judge, what's up?
Yeah. Well, obviously starting on a good foot. Watch my dog run around on this bed right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's what I'm going to be doing, running circles. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
All right. And the master of spelling swear words like ASS, the one, the only, Matty Bush. Matty Bush, what's up, Earth Rider?
Hey. I just want to thank the Minnesota Timberwolves for bringing my dreams up to something very high and letting me down.
Yeah, and the Wild are off to a hot start doing that too. 4-0 in game one, losing, not even scoring a goal. Unbelievable. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about boxing because it's a big boxing week. So, gentlemen, if you got your beers ready, I got my Cheers shirt on. If I can move over, there we go. Cheers. I don't even know my name. That's what we got. So, gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers, boys.
All right. Let's move on with the show. Something in the beer today, as I tell you, I apologize for this show already. It's going to get off the rails, especially if it's this ridiculous early. But we got brews and reviews to get to. We had two massive fights. I want to give a great, big gratitude thank you out to the Judge, Jimmy James. I was out camping out of town, so during the fight, he was giving me round-by-round updates, very good updates. When I got home, I got to watch both fights in full. But thank you for those updates, Judge. I appreciate it. We're going to break down the first one, Taylor and Serrano, the best possibly women's boxing fight of all time. That was what it was being hyped as. Didn't live up to the hype. James is going to break it down for you right now.
Well, I thought it was a pretty dang good fight, to be honest, man. This is two skilled individuals going back and forth at it. Katie Taylor, obviously undefeated, huge amateur background. Amanda Serrano, 7-time division champion. This was an awesome fight, nonstop action. It was good boxing on both sides, and they came out swinging right away. Taylor and Serrano. Serrano came out fast, was putting Taylor on her back foot for the first couple of rounds. Definitely, they were trading some good shots back and forth for round 1, 2, and 3. Round 4 got a little dicey for Katie Taylor. Serrano hit her with a couple of good shots, nothing too crazy. And then in round 5, that's where everything kind of switched a little bit. Serrano came out and hit Taylor with a wicked shot to the face.
Wicked.
And it's kind of unfortunate because Serrano kept moving backwards and Serrano was holding Taylor up from getting from her falling on the ground. Taylor was in bad shape in the 5th round. How she didn't go down, how Serrano wasn't able to put her down even further was kind of a miracle. Probably going to give credit to these 2-minute rounds, because if that would have been a 3-minute round, I think that would have been stopped in that round. However, 2-minute round rings, wasn't able to capitalize. Round 6 comes out. Serrano's still doing pretty well in this. Real quick, it was a 10-round fight. So round 6, we're halfway through the fight. Taylor's still kind of on the back foot, and then rounds 8, 9, and 10 seemed that Taylor was a little more aggressive. Serrano was still aggressive too. Taylor seemed to regain a little bit of her stuff, using a little bit more counter and things like that, but it was still non-stop action fight. Both fighters landed the most punches on each other I think that they said that they
That Eaters had in their career, I think.
something like that. It was a pretty
They were
good.
hit
It was
more than they would have ever been hit in their career.
something like that. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good fight. It was did go the distance, and a little bit controversy for myself, but it ended up going to Taylor by decision, and I didn't agree with it for me personally, but that's how it went down. It was a great fight. If you can watch it, that's top notch. Two of the best women fighters in the world, and man, if you get a chance to see them, see that fight.
Well, James, I got two questions for you before we get into what's next. Katie Taylor, I believe you told me broke her nose in that 5th round. Was that confirmed? You said
I don't.
nose
It,
was messed up.
she does. Serrano was popping her. She was bleeding from the nose. It was pretty bloody.
Yep.
I don't know if it looked like a broken nose. It could have just been anything. None of that's been confirmed. That was just I had a few bush lattes at that point. So.
And the second thing I wanted to ask you is, I was following your play-by-play that you sent me. Great play-by-play, by the way. I appreciate it. But then I read the judges' scorecards, and they seemed like it was a pretty lopsided, bad judging. But when I went and watched the fight, each one of those rounds was very, very close. Like, I could see that the judges can go either way on that. I just want to get your opinion. You obviously thought Serrano won the fight, but can you see why the judges may have seen it the other way on a couple of those rounds?
Definitely. Look, it was, to me, Serrano won the fight. I thought what was going to happen was it was going to be a draw. It looked like Serrano was dominating the first half. After that wobbly 5 and 6 from Taylor, she came back and did pretty damn well. And you could give those rounds to Taylor, which a lot of people did. I honestly thought it was going to come out a draw. I didn't think it was going to come out as it did, but it is what it is.
Well, the one thing that I came out of it angry about is the fact that the 2-minute rounds and the 10 rounds, if we're going to make it mainstream like it should be, that fight should show that women's boxing should be mainstream. The rules should be the same. It should be 3-minute rounds and 12 rounds for a championship fight. I know we talked about that before, but that's just my opinion. Let's go. What's next for both of them? Katie Taylor. What's next for Katie Taylor? There, Maddie Bush.
No, I just want to throw out congratulations to these two women for showing out in the mecca of boxing and putting on what I could put into the category of fight of the year, because these women did not hold back, and it was quite amazing to actually witness. And as far as what's next for Katie Taylor, you know what I'm gonna say. Richie knows what I'm gonna say. James,
I predicted it in pre-show, I think.
And yeah, you all know what I'm gonna say. If Katie Taylor doesn't retire, which she could probably lean to, they have to fight again, because I personally thought that was a draw, and I think it needs to happen one more time. And let's go right back. Well, maybe in Ireland, maybe that's going to happen. I don't know, but it should be run back. And then they can both go off into the sunset with a big purse of money and be happy for the rest of their lives. Good for them.
Well, let's make the second fight 12 rounds at least. I mean, maybe if they're not going to go 3-minute rounds, let's go 12 rounds at least. Let's do that. Let's make it a little more one way or the other. But one of the judges did have that Serrano round as a 10-8 round for Serrano, by the way, too, James. So one judge did have that. Filthy Rich, what do you think is next for Serrano? Is she going to get the Katie Taylor rematch, or is there someone else on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, once you've reached the top, where do you go? I mean, that is the top. You may as well stay up there. I see rematch in Ireland. Yeah, do it in Ireland, then bring it to Puerto Rico, and then sell out MSG one more time. Those are the next 3 steps. I know I'm supposed to talk about Serrano, but it's for Katie Taylor too. Let these 3, or let there be 3 more times.
A trilogy or a quadruple or a quad?
Why not, man? Like, you can throw Michaela Mayer in there somewhere, because Serrano is 2 weight classes below Katie Taylor, so she's still the featherweight, I believe, a featherweight champion. So, maybe she can meet Michaela Mayer somewhere in there. I do want to say this is contender for fight of the year. I'm still taking Conlon Wood, but if someone says these two should have fight of the year, I'm not going to argue. But it was a good fight. It lived up to the hype.
It just needed more time and more rounds. That's what it needed. You know,
Yeah,
that
James-
fight deserved it.
James nailed it when he said there was like if there were 3-minute rounds. I think that fight gets stopped. I think
Yep.
I think Serrano stops Katie Taylor in that. I think it was the 5th round. I think
Yep.
it's over. I think the rounds that Serrano won, those were clearly her rounds, but everything else was close, and they gave him to Taylor. And there is a lot of controversy. It seems like the experts are saying it should have went to Serrano, and I'm seeing a lot of fans saying that Katie Taylor deserved the win. So the entire world is split on this, as
Well,
they should be. I like draw, to be honest.
That's what I was going to ask you because Matty Bush said draw. Me and Judge are both saying Serrano won the fight, and then you're saying draw as well.
Well, I think Katie Taylor won,
Oh,
but it should have just been ruled a draw, man.
Yeah.
Like Tyson and Jones. I mean, this was like a showcase fight, but they performed.
right on. Yeah, that was a great fight. Let's run it back. Run it back. All right. The other big fight we had to talk about this weekend, which did not live up to the hype that fight lived up to, but it was still a good fight. Shakir Stevenson was fighting Oscar Valdez. Big fight up at the top of the 130 division, which we will be talking about the 130 division actually later tonight in the Filthy Five. But Matty Bush is going to break down Valdez and Stevenson. Bust it down for us. Break it up.
Well, you know, if you watched it,
I mean, I know I watched it.
You saw a clinic. You saw a clinic by one of the most educated young men in boxing that I've seen since. Let's just
Boots?
No, not Boots. We ain't gonna go there. Let's go. I'm gonna say Pretty Boy Floyd. You know, like back when we saw his genesis, and then obviously becomes Money Mayweather. And I think he's the perfect combination of both in this fight. Money Mayweather with that ring IQ and that nasty tenacity that Pretty Boy Floyd used to have at younger weight classes. This fight was I enjoyed this fight immensely. Oscar Valdez is a tough Mexican warrior. He's like he does not have no quit in his heart. I mean, the guy's gone through broken jaws and everything, and he's got an undefeated record. And he comes in here and he's fighting this kid who, after weighing, is probably a welterweight. Let's be honest. He's a bigger guy. He's growing into his body, and he's got man strength now. But this fight went down exactly like I thought. Shakur in southpaw stance, obviously. And the quick twitch muscles he has, like he gets out of the way of everything. And the only punch that Valdez could offer to do anything in this fight was a quick straight right. And that's all he could do. And that's all he could land unless he kind of got bullied in and landed slapping body shots. Nothing that actually really hurt Shakur. Shakur Stevenson is on a different level. I've been saying it for years, and he's only getting better, and he's going to learn from this experience with Oscar. Hats off to both. Hats off to Oscar for being tough. I think Shakur Stevenson, he only gets better. He's 24 years old. He's pretty much unbeatable at this point, and I don't think he's going to be at 130 for too many more fights because.
Well, we'll talk about that later
that's
on
cool.
what's next for him. But Stevenson did win a unanimous decision in that fight. Just to break down the final
An
part of that.
easy unanimous.
Easy unanimous. Didn't put him away,
No.
but easy unanimous decision.
There
James,
was a no question.
Oscar Valdez took on the young fighter and pretty much got clinicked, as Matty Bush said there. What's next for Valdez at this point? How do you recover?
Well, you're fighting Shakir Stevenson. That's tough. I didn't think Valdez did real terrible in that fight. He did do a lot of the stuff that he's done in training videos and things like that. He was doing some pretty good head movement and things like that. So I think even with being his age, where he sits, he's obviously his last 2 or 3 fights have been kind of suspect. But I'm not going to knock him for this one. I think Valdez at this point is still going to have some work to do to get back up on that pedestal. Probably going to fight someone like, probably got 3 names. Fight Jamal Herring. Probably don't need to, but at least that's a name. One of the other gentlemen that, if you really want another name, would probably be, for me personally anyway, Roger Gutierrez, because he's a super young dude who's had a lot of fights. I think that would be an interesting fight. Otherwise, if we're talking about trying to make cash, Leo Santa Cruz.
There it is. That was the one I was going to say.
Those are the 3. Those are the 3 guys. If you want to make a lot of money, Valdez, you can fight Leo Santa Cruz. That's for sure, and that's going to give you trouble too. But those are the 3 guys.
Well, wait.
130.
130, bro.
Mm.
What about Kid Galahad?
Nope.
Both guys that need to kind of remake a name for themselves.
Nope.
Nope. All right. And no tune-up fight, just jumping right into the Herring or Leo Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
he's in the
Reynoso camp. He doesn't need a tune-up fight. His
Right on.
tune-ups on the
On the tainted meat. On the that's what we do.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Filthy Rich, what's next for Stevenson? Does he stay at 130? Does he move up? I mean, he's pretty much got everyone destroyed at 130 here, but 135 would be a tough division. What's he do from here?
Yeah, I mean, he is the clear-cut king of 130. He's not going to be at this division too much longer. There's just no competition at this division. Moving up is where all the kings are right now. Ring Magazine was talking about the new 4 kings, like the Ryan Garcia's. You know what?
Yes.
Shakur Stevenson.
Play the music, James.
Oh, God. My bad, James. Jeez. Okay. So, yeah, he needs to maybe take 1 or 2 fights just to say, you know, he ruled the division for a year, but forget this division. Everything at 130 is a tune-up fight for Shakir Stevenson. I kind of called it going into this fight. I felt like Valdez is kind of a tune-up fight, and these guys are number 1 and 2, but Shakur is just light years ahead of him. So I'm putting him at 135, where it's actually important. Take the Kambosos, Devin Haney winner. I think that's there's something there. I know they have a rematch clause, so if you have to wait, while you're waiting, take Tio Lopez if he wants to. I know he's talking moving up to 140, but he has nothing going on yet. So if you can catch him at 135, where he might be out of shape, misses weight, something like that, I still think Shakur can beat Tio Lopez. And I don't know whoever else. Lomachenko's busy.
Super fight against Lomachenko.
Lomachenko's busy right now, so I don't know when we'll see him back in the ring, but those are just some names, couple names, but there's nothing left at 130. I mean, he's the first one to be the lineal champ since 2005 at the 130 division. So this is historic right here. Shakur is just on a different level.
Yeah, there's nothing left for him down there. There's nothing left for him at 130. Got to go up. 135 is the division where you're really going to make a name and a lot of money for himself.
And he just moved up to 130. He's already done with 130.
But as Matty Bush pointed out too, he's big. He's growing into his body. He's still young. He's growing into his body. He's more natural, I think.
Yeah, Matty Bush is growing into his body too. I'll drink
That's
that.
true. He just got pubes last week, so I mean.
I shaved the beard, and this is what I get.
Yeah, well, congrats on your pubes. All right, those are the big fights for the last week. Big fights. If you haven't got a chance to watch them, make sure you go back and watch them and see. I think we all had Stevenson on our picks last week, and what do we have for? I can't remember what we did for Taylor and Serrano. I think we're split on that one. So
I picked Taylor to win, and I actually picked Shakur by knockout in the 11th. So one decision.
Looks like Stevenson could have knocked him out anytime he wanted, but he didn't. All right, that's our reviews for this week, but we got a bunch more show to get to, including a Filthy 5 and a preview of the big fight this weekend. So let's go ahead and move on with the show. All right, it's the first of the month. You know what that means. First show of the month. It's Filthy 5 time. Filthy 5, where we break down the boxers of a certain division. This month is 130. We just had a big fight last week with Stevenson and Valdez. So our experts decided 130 would be the good division to hit this week. How this works, every one of our experts made a list of their top 10 boxers at 130. Their top boxer got 10 points. Second place got 9, and so on and so on and so on. Then I combined all 4 of our lists, added up all the points, and those points end up as our Bruising Boxing totals or rankings for the 130 division. And I tell you, boys, this division this month is the most, what's the word I should say, random there could be. They're all over the place with rankings, like completely. You'll see when we break into this. There's 3s and 10s, and there's all sorts of things mixed together. It's crazy. So you definitely want to comment below and talk about who got this one right, because we are all over the place on this one. Be a lot of things defending your own thing. But we'll go 5, 4, 3. We'll do some honorable mentions, and then we'll do the 2 and the 1. 1 probably won't be that big a surprise. All right, let's go with number 5 with 20 points. Jamal Herring. A little surprised that he dropped down to number 5. I had him at number 3, and that's why he actually made it to 5, because James had him at 5. Richie had him at 8. and Matty Bush had him at 8. Big drops for Jamal Herring. Very surprising here. I had him up high, but James, you were the biggest expert of having him up high at 5. So why don't you go ahead and take it from there?
Well, look, Jamal Herring kind of got his butt waxed in his last fight, but I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I thought he was going to retire. He didn't retire. He came back. He's going to fight somebody, and I completely spaced on who he was going to fight, but irrelevant. I still think he's a name at this division. He may be, a gatekeeper, I guess, at this point, but I don't know, man. It just some of the other guys that are in here, I think, are just a little too raw, and I put Herring at 5 because I think he does still do. He gives people problems at this division for at least the next 2 years, and after that, he might be done. But I mean, that's why I got him at 5. Not really too much on this one. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Semper Fi. Semper Fi. Well, he did just retire Frampton, and a couple other guys that are on the list. But I had him up at 3. And it's just because I still have faith that even though he lost to Shakir, I have faith that everyone loses to Shakir. Let's just talk about that. Okay, Shakir destroys everybody, but I still think he's got enough clout, and he was going to be basically taking the spot that it's either him or Valdez, and who looked better again. And even though Valdez went the distance, I still had Herring at 3. Richie and Benny Bush, you guys both had him all the way down at 8. Was that because of age, or you just don't think he's got it anymore? Filthy Rich, you had the kind of the eyebrows working like the Rock up there, so I'll start with you.
Look, I think we know what he's all about. There's no shocks or surprises with him. I had him at 8 because I think everyone above him, there are question marks everywhere. But I think the 7 guys I have above him, one has already beaten him. The other ones potentially will probably beat this dude. And the guys I have below him, I think this is like the gatekeeper position right here. I think 8, I think Jamal Herring's the gatekeeper. And the guys I have below him have something to prove, and their next fights should be against Herring. But I also think Herring can probably still beat those guys. I have him at 8 because I just don't think he beats the guys I had ahead of him. I think he's kind of like he's been figured out at this point in his career.
He may have been figured out. I think he's still got a couple good fights in him. And the other guys I had below him, I don't think I've proven it yet. That's just kind of where I have Herring there. Matty Bush, do you agree with Filthy Rich about number 8 there? I obviously do about ranking, but what he said about it?
I think to me, I give respect to him. He's just a name. I put him up there. I thought he retired also, but I saw he wasn't, so I put him on the list because, yeah, he does. He doesn't beat anyone I got in front of him also, yeah, so I do agree with Richie. He's there. He should retire. It's just me.
All right. Moving on to number 4 with 23 points. And I'll tell you, this is where it starts to get a little hairy here. Robson Conceição gets in at number 4. I had him at 6. James had him at 10. 10, you guys hear that, right? Richie had him at 3. And Matty Bush had him at 2. So there is some giant discrepancies in this one.
Just know me and Richie are right.
Well, we're going to give you the chance to explain that right now because we'll start with you. You had him all the way up at 2. Explain yourself.
Well, I watched what he did to Oscar Valdez. I'm pretty sure he won that fight and he was robbed. He played around too much. If the man gets for real serious, his only loss is against Valdez, and he won that fight. So I guess it's not a loss, is it? He played around too much in that ring. What? I want to see more of that guy. That's why I have him at 2. He beat Valdez. Shakur just beat Valdez. Why wouldn't he be at 2?
Well, because he didn't have the head on his shoulders yet. He's goofing around too much. That's why. Filthy Rich, you want to agree with what Matty Bush said? You want to add anything before we toss it to the judge about having him at 10?
Yeah. So, like, I basically agree with Matty Bush here. The only thing I would say is, as far as, because I had him at 3, with the Valdez fight, I think if there's a rematch, I think Valdez wins. For some reason, something just told me that Valdez probably wins in the rematch. He won't make the mistake he did before. So I put him at 3, just because if there was this fictional rematch bout, who wins head to head, I have Valdez beating him head to head.
All right, James, I'm closer to you. I had him at 6 than you had him at 10. I had him that low because I just haven't seen anyone he's beat, and one chance he had a chance to beat a big name, he screwed it up. I mean, that just showed he wasn't ready. His head is part of this game is mental, and he didn't have it. Why do you have him so low at 10?
Look, obviously, I thought he beat Valdez, and he gave it away. Right? Poor mistake, poor choice. He definitely has some skills. He fought Xavier Martinez as the next fight, which is the headliner on the ESPN card, and he didn't do enough to impress me to pop him higher up on the list. I think he deserves to be in the top 10, but I need to see something more. I mean, it was still, I think it's still a decided fight, but it was just unbeaten. I don't know. Something there I just don't think is click. I mean, he's 32. Something ain't clicking for me, right? Like Rich just said that Valdez will probably beat him in a rematch. There's a good chance I agree with that. And even though I think Conceição's got a little bit better skills, at least boxing wise for that stuff, Valdez has more power, but I just don't fight somebody else that's a bigger name closer to Valdez, maybe in my top 5, and we'll see where you sit at that point.
Seems something else I noticed too when I'm looking on these things. He's deducted points in a lot of fights. His head's not there. Half the game is mental. If you're going to lose points, he lost points against Valdez. You can't afford to lose points against Valdez. What are you doing? Stop it. Stop dancing around. Fight. Win the fight.
Hey, Shakur was dancing around too. I didn't like that.
Yeah, well, Shakir had that fight completely dominated in every round.
Don't matter.
Yeah, we need to move on, but
anyway,
I don't like it. I didn't like it out of Crawford either. And Crawford knocked it off almost immediately.
All right. Moving on to number 3. With 27 points, that's 4 points ahead of Conceição. Shavkat Rakhimov. I know I had him at 2. I love everything I have to see about him. James had him at 7, and I know why. James, I know why. Because he beat your guy, Jojo Diaz. I know that's a problem for you, but you barely beat him. He beat your guy, Jojo Diaz, and I know you don't like that. I know that's why you had him at 7. Richie, you had him at 4. Bach, you also had him at 4. Benny Bush, pardon me, had him at 4. Go ahead. We'll start with I'm going to go the opposite route on this one. James, why'd you have him so low since these guys tied on high?
First of all, he drew against Jojo Diaz. He didn't beat Jojo Diaz. He drew. He couldn't eat.
Yeah, he beat him.
Right? I don't know. Either way, I'm still. He's 16-0. He's got a draw. I mean, I'm just not impressed. He wasn't on my list last time. He's on my list now. But I'm not to have him as high as some of these other rankings, as high as some of you guys. I'm not sold. So he's going to have to fight somebody. He's going to have to fight somebody, man. I mean, after Jojo Diaz, he fought some dude in Russia. Like, I mean, I don't know where you're going. I thought you were going on the other side. I mean, he did Feet Fuzile, but I don't know. I'm just not impressed.
Not impressed with Shere Khan, a guy named Khan?
Oh.
Khan? He's only 27, too, But anyway, Filthy Rich and Bach, you had him down at 4. Who wants to take it first?
Well, I'll say
Okay, go
this.
for
He's like 16-0 with 13 knockouts. That knockout percentage was enough for me to say this guy probably has some power. A lot of these guys we're looking at don't really have the body of work. They don't have like the big names. I'm glad you brought up Jojo Diaz. And like that was like one of the very few big names we have out of all these people on this list. Rakhimov has drew against Jojo Diaz, but the 16-0 with 13 knockouts was just enough to have me put him ahead of other people. And it just so happens to be at number 4. I don't know. It seems pretty high, but from 4 down to, if we want to go 15 deep, man, I don't knock anyone for putting them like way at the bottom either. So
he's knocking out. He only fights in Russia for the most part. He's knocking out Russians. Russians are the hardest people to knock out, it seems like. So they're hard to knock out. He's knocking out all these Russians. He passes the eye test with me. I know he drew against Jojo Diaz. I had him winning that fight, and I know that hurts you because he's your guy, James. But it is what it is. Matty Bush, do you have anything to add about having him at 4?
Richie took the words out of my mouth. Jojo Diaz is the best name on this other than Shakir Stevenson, damn near. And guess what? He drew with him. So I agree with Richie, and that's why I put him where I was at. Like, honestly, Jojo Diaz is a better boxer than pretty much, well, maybe the top two can beat Jojo. After that, hey, he draws for Jojo, the Olympian. Hey, that's why he gets up there.
And Jojo missed weight that fight, too. Just pointing that out, too. So, came in heavy. But it is what it is. All right. So I had him up to, I think he passed the eye test with me. I had him at 2. I know it's ridiculous to a lot of you guys, but I think, Valdez going down, Herring getting older. I think he's knocking out Russians.
Did you guys need to borrow these?
Oh, with them glasses, James?
He's passing the eye test. I think you guys are blind.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I never said eye test. I never said eye test.
All right. That was our 5, 4, and 3. Now we get into the honorable mentions here. Our 6 through 15. Ended up with 15 boxers here all over the map. A lot of names down here. A lot of names I had to text back, know who, just so I can get them. But if you're Rich is smart because he didn't get one of them texts. But at number 6 with 15 points was Oshakwe Foster, or Oshak Hennessy, as they say, as you say right there, Filthy Rich. Oshak Hennessy Foster. I had him at 10. James had him at 8. Richie had him at 5, and Bush had him at 6. Coming at 7 was Leo Santa Cruz, and this was a tie between 7, 8, and 9. But Leo Santa Cruz was rated the highest because James had him at 3. Leo Santa Cruz at 3. I had him at 8, and here's the shocker. Filthy Rich and Matty Bush not ranked for Leo Santa Cruz. Kept him out of the top 5, obviously. Tied with him at 11 points was Roger Gutierrez. I had him at 5. I think he's very impressive. Me and James both think he's impressive. At 6 is where James had him. These two guys do not think he's impressive because they also did not have Roger Gutierrez ranked at all.
Richie, why are we so smart, man?
I don't know, man. I'll drink to you.
Those are the two that me and James had ranked that you guys did not have ranked. Very, very interesting. And then the third person in that 11-point tie was Hector Luis Gracias. Gracias. I had him at 9. James did not have him ranked. Filthy Rich had him at 6. Matty Bush had him at 7. After that, Chris Colbert. This is where I did not have him ranked. James had him all the way up at 4. Filthy Rich had him at 9. Matty Bush did not have him ranked. After that, at 6 points, was Albert Bell. I thought he played baseball, but apparently he's a boxer too. None of us had him ranked except for Matty Bush, who had him at 5. So that's how somehow he got 6 points. The home run king for the Atlanta Braves or something like that.
Indians, baby.
Guardians.
I'm going to tell this right now. I want this show documented. When Albert Bell wins the title after Shakur vacates.
Okay, mute him.
Watch that, boy.
Moving on after that, at number 12, we had Kenichi Ogawa. I had him at 7. No one else had him at ranked. Oh, no, that's not true. Matty Bush had him ranked at 10. I apologize. Kenichi Ogawa at 10 for Matty Bush. At 13 with 4 points was Kid Galahad. Nobody had him ranked except for Filthy Rich had him at 7. Luis Alberto Lopez at 2 points was a tie with Lamont Roach. Luis Alberto Lopez, James was the only one that had him ranked at 9. And then Lamont Roach, Matty Bush is the only one that had him ranked at 9. So Matty Bush had 2 guys on his thing.
I had Lamont Roach at 10.
Did you have him at 10?
Yeah.
Let me look. You did. Okay. So he's actually up at 3 points. At 3 points. So Luis Alberto Lopez is at 15. I apologize. I did see that now. So that is our honorable mentions here. Matty Bush, I'm going to start with you because you had 2 guys that were not ranked, and I know you want to talk about, or that you had ranked that no one else had ranked. Oh, no, we fixed that because it was remote. But Albert Bell might be the one you want to talk about. I think you want to do. Go ahead.
I've only seen one fight with Albert Bell.
And you had him at 5.
Yes. No, I think he is the up and coming. He's been through some stuff and he's learning to box. I have a feeling once Shakur is vacated, this kid is going to come up the rankings. And I've not been wrong before. Let's be honest. I know how to. All right. Okay.
I'll send you the rim
I'm just
shot.
say, I want everyone. I want this show to be recorded. I want the fans to watch this and go, when Matty Bush calls out Albert Bell and he takes this title, I just want the accolades, please. I just want it.
Okay. Well, moving on. Filthy Rich, is there anyone in there that you want to talk about? You had a couple guys. I believe you had Lopez ranked. No one else did. And no, that's James. I'm sorry. You had Kid Galahad in there. 7, a couple other guys. Anyone that jumped out of your mind you want to chat about?
Look, I will just say about Kid Galahad. As much as I want to talk about a bunch of people, if he's the one I had in the list that no one else did, I guess I have to justify why I put him there. He has 2 losses to like Warrington and Kiko Martinez. There's no shame in losing to them guys. Kiko's old, but Kiko still has.
Kiko wasn't upset. That was,
but still, Kiko's old. But like Kiko, like that dude still hits hard, man, and puts on. I don't want to say a show, but he just has ring IQ. I don't know how to really put it, but against Albert Bell, I think he beats Albert Bell. Take that, Matty Bush.
I'll drink to that too.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Albert Bell puts him to sleep.
Mute him. Anyway, all right. Anything else you want to add on that?
No, I mean, yeah. If that's it, I wish I could talk about more, but let's move on.
Oh, you can. No, absolutely.
No,
you got time.
talk about one more.
Let's go.
Talk about one more.
I want your thoughts on one more.
I don't know who I can talk about.
Who do you want his thoughts on? Because I'll
Chris Colbert. Let's just talk about Chris Colbert. Look, I think
Kid's done.
Yeah, see, and I think everyone is under the impression that because there was like ego and some flashiness with him, that he didn't take it seriously. But I think he's taking boxing seriously. I think he learned his lesson. I think he's one of them guys whose stock is probably going to rise again at some point. He's ranked low on a lot of lists. I have him ranked high because I haven't given up on him. He had one bad night. I'm not going to penalize the rest of his career. And I think going back to Jamal Herring, I think he's the one whose stock is plummeting, and I don't think he'll be on my list next year when we revisit this.
Well, you said you have Colbert high. James has him at 4, so that's really having some faith in Colbert.
Go ahead, take what I took, James, run with it.
Good, because that's what I'm going to do, because that's one of the 2 guys I was going to talk about, and that's exactly what I was going to. Rich, I'm going to drink to you, because I don't say that very often.
Tonight, baby. Woo!
But look, man. Colbert, I am not going to knock Colbert out. I did not put Hector Luis Garcia up on my list because, yeah, he did do really well. He finished the game, right? Colbert, everybody has a bad night. Not everyone's going to be undefeated for the rest of their life. He had a bad night. I think he's still there. He's got a lot of speed, talent, all that mumbo jumbo, dude. This is why I got him at 4. I'm not going to knock him for this one loss. Now, he's going to have to bounce back to stay on this list, but I'm just not going to knock him for that. But the other guy, again, for two in a row now, I'm going to say real quick about Luis Alberto Lopez. This guy is going to come up. He's not going to go any higher than 130, but he is going to be a force at 130 for the rest of his career because he is way too small, but he is a powerhouse, man. And he but he was beating the crap out of Gabriel Flores Jr., who was supposed to be one of the up-and-comers in this division. And he has also had 2 knockouts in his past 2 fights, and one of them being against Isaac Lowe. This is going to be a guy that's going to come up, and just wait. He's going to be higher than 9 on my list and y'all's list. He's going to be on your list. Just wait.
Cool. Hey, can I add one more thing? Because I didn't even consider Santa Cruz. Had I considered Santa Cruz, I'd probably have him somewhere on this list, but I didn't even consider him. So I guess I have to make that clear too.
Well, here's 2 questions, or not. Well, 1 statement, 1 question. First statement is I'm going to disagree with you guys saying that it's not important to be undefeated because everyone's going to have a bad night. Raider Live is undefeated on this show every time we play the game.
Yeah, but you have a bad night every night, though.
And I'm still undefeated. And I'm still undefeated against you guys in every game show we've ever had. So just keep that in mind here, undefeated. The second part is I want to ask you about this. I wanted to hear James' thoughts about Leo Santa Cruz, but I also want to hear Filthy Rich's thoughts about Oshakwe Foster, because you guys had him up high as well as an up-and-comer. But I want to hear James first about Leo Santa Cruz, having him up at 3.
He's still awesome. I think he's still he got beat by Tank Davis. A lot of people go lose to Tank Davis. He's got good defense and he's got offense. Like, he took a night shot and he came back, and he's not a flashy puncher, but he is a volume puncher. He's a Mexican style puncher, a fighter. He's beaten Kiko Martinez, Miguel Flores, Abner Morris twice. He's a good fighter, man. I'm not going to knock him for this. He's still a name and he's still someone to beat. You can shake your head all you want, Matty Bushes. I'm going to put you on mute anyway.
Yeah. Hey, James, I will drink to you since you and me are the only ones that had Leo Santa Cruz ranked, and that's exactly what I
Ding.
so I'll drink to you. All right, Filthy Rich, Oshakaway Foster seems to be climbing up the. You guys had him at 5 and 6. James had him at 8. I had him at 10. I only because I don't really know as much about this guy. I just kind of read about it. I haven't seen him fight, so go ahead and enlighten us about him a little bit.
Yeah, I would say to draw parallels with Matty Bush, he is my version of the Albert Bell of this division. I think he just doesn't have the bodies, but I've seen the guy fight. He's a very good fighter. There's some polishing that needs to be done. And once you put him in the ring with more formidable opponents, I think you'll see how good he actually is. But I don't think it's too high. I don't think he's too low, but I need to see more out of him. And I think I put him right where he belongs.
Right on. Matty Bush, you have any final comments? Because I know you're twisted.
I do. I do like that comparison between him and Albert Bell. They're very similar. They're both going to be up in the running. And Leo Santa Cruz, I don't want to get into it, but you know what? That boy needs to retire because he got no chin no more. I don't care if he's Mexican, whatever he is.
He got knocked out by Tank Davis.
Yeah.
First off, he's been in wars his whole career. He's got no defense. He's been taking shots his whole career. You think he's got a chin still? I don't think so. All these guys
by Tank Davis. They moved up in that fight. Didn't they fight that at 135?
I'm going to tell you guys right now. He goes in, he gets smoked by anyone.
Where was that Tank Davis fight at? Was that at 135?
It was 130, but like even Tank was too big for 130, and he moved up to 135. And Leo was at 126, moving up because nobody wanted any of Tank.
Right.
Go ahead, Bush.
But guess what? You can't get your chin back after taking them shots. He is done.
You're wrong on that, but okay.
He's done? I don't know how he's done.
You don't get your chin back.
He's only 33. He's only been knocked out one time by Tank Davis. I mean, what do you want from the guy?
Every fight he's been in has been a war. How many shots has this boy taken? A lot.
He's good. He's never good. And you still haven't dropped an F-bomb. I'm waiting for you to drop an F-bomb. Go ahead.
When we see Leo Santa Cruz the next time, we're going to see him carried out on a damn stretcher.
We did see that against Devontae Davis, but he came back and won the next one.
And you know, it's going to be
more. Who knocks him out? Who knocks him out?
Moving on. Our next two, our top two. Moving up to
Shut it!
Nope. Albert Bell apparently moving from baseball into the 130 division. He lost a lot of weight from baseball to go down to 130. I'll tell you that. All right, our top two here at 33 points was Oscar Valdez coming off his fight against Shakir Stevenson. I dropped him all the way down to 4. I'm the one with the biggest drop on him on there. Just really did not impress me against Shakir, but a lot of people look silly against Shakir. Let's just face that. James, you had him up at 2. Richie had him at 2. Matty Bush had him at 3 below Conceição. So, Oscar Valdez, we'll start with Bach, because you had him the lowest besides me. Go ahead, Bush. I say Bush. Bush. Had him at 3.
Valdez, he's a man. He's a Mexican warrior. I kept him there because I thought he lost to Conceição, and he lost to Shakur, so I put him at 3. Honestly, I think that the end is not near for him. He's still got more fights in him. He's tough as they come. He's going to keep learning with Eddie Reynoso. I believe that the Shakur fight was only his second fight with Eddie. So, he's going to keep learning, stay with Canelo, stay with Eddie, hang out a little bit. And guess what? Anything can happen.
All right. Which one of you guys want to take the number 2 first? Because you both have him at 2.
Got it.
Got it. Nailed
this is his second fight with Reynoso.
Yeah.
Let's put this into perspective, because his first fight with Reynoso was Conceição. His next fight was Shakir Stevenson. Well, guess what?
Oh, yeah.
He looked kind of bad twice.
He's still learning. James, he's still learning.
You ain't learning. You about to learn how to shut it. Guess what? There you go. So, yeah, man, I just don't. If that's the Reynoso, you need to dip out. Leave like everybody else did, man. But, I mean, still, either way, I think Valdez is still a force for people below him on this list. Don't get to talk anymore. I'm sorry. You have an arm. But yeah, dude, it's just he still knocks people out. He's still got power, but he is obviously susceptible.
Oh my God.
And that's pretty much all I gotta say about that. If that's the case, then that's bad news. But
Make sure you're covering him up in editing when that is going on for his raising a hand on mute stuff. We'll just cover him up with a clown
Can
photo
I
or
ask?
something.
Can I ask a question to James?
Oh, all right.
If it's fast, but that's my job.
Okay. Do you think it's a fact that he's not spending enough time with Valdez because he's spending more time with Canelo, or do you think it's just that he can't handle it? Like, what do you think?
I don't think it's the same thing. The Ryan Garcia and the Annie Ruiz, they both left because he wasn't spending enough time. I think he's putting in the work with Valdez. I just think Valdez is at his peak.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think he peaked. I think if it wasn't for Shakir
Alright.
Stevenson, he'd still be around, maybe even talked about as the king of this division. But
I just wanted to ask that question of how he felt about it. Yeah.
Well, I answered it.
and once Stevenson leaves, he may regain the king of that division, but he's got to win a few fights here for after this. Filthy Rich, you had him at 2. Go ahead. If you have anything else you want to add?
I had a bunch. I can't remember any of the thing. I've been drinking too much, but dude's pretty good, man. And he lost.
He's pretty good. All right.
I think I know. I was gonna say. I think he's the only one Shakur didn't knock out. Shakur knocked if you got in the ring with Shakur, he knocked you out top to bottom, and he was the only one that Shakur didn't knock out. That says something. I know he won one of those rounds, round 6 according to Andre Ward, or maybe on the regular scorecards, but there was a round that he won, and if whatever he did in that round, he should have stuck to that game plan and kept trying. But
Richie, it was a straight right down the pipe, dude.
Call it what you want, but like he didn't. There was no game plan, and Shakur was just that much better, man. And that kind of is the spoiler on who we have at number 1.
Well, Shakur didn't knock out Toka Khan Cleary either. Remember that. Toka Khan didn't knock him out.
Well, he's not in this division though either. He's not in this.
He's
division.
130.
Toka Khan Cleary's 126.
Oh, well, he moved up. He was 130 for that fight.
I'm gonna move you down. I'll drink too much.
I'll move you up.
Oh yeah.
Relax, Kool-Aid man.
Anyway, the final reason I'll get final word. The only reason I moved it forward is just because recently it was the most recent my eyes saw of somebody really being outclassed. And Farragut, it was against Stevenson.
Who got up and left?
He's just gone. Yeah, he's just gone.
Don't worry about it. Let's go.
All right. We don't need him for this one anyway. At number 1, we have Shakir Stevenson, no big shock. And he is going to be the Filthy 5 unanimous number 1. So he becomes the champion at 130 for the Bruising Boxing belt because he is a unanimous number 1 across the board, 40 points. Shakir Stevenson. I would say, who wants to go first? But Matty Bush is on mute. And Filthy Rich, you said you didn't really have much to say last time. So we're going to pass it to the judge. Judge, Shakir Stevenson, break it down.
Look, man, you guys have all seen it. He's already stated it. Matty Bush said it earlier. He's kind of like upcoming Mayweather, man. This dude he already had the defense. All he has to do is put together the offense, and he's starting to put together the offense. Didn't like the showboating at the end of it, which Rich touched on, which we definitely forgot to talk about in the other part of it. But other than that, man, he's got the skills, he's got the power. Even though he only has 8 KOs, he can still do whatever he wants. And boxing is all about hit and not get hit. So if he can hit and not get hit and still win, but not be, a boring fighter, still give you action pack, this kid's a star, man. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for sure. And now I'm going to do something that might make me throw up. I'm just going to point that out here, boys. I haven't drank a lot of beer, but this may make me throw up. I'm going to have to give Matty Bush credit because I do remember 2-3 years ago when we started this show and he started watching it, he texted me about Shakir Stevenson saying, this is my future guy. This is the guy that's going to be the king of all this division. My number 1 guy, my number 1 young player that could be coming up here. And he nailed it. Let's give it. I got to give him props on it. Well done, Matty Bush, for coming out of there and saying this guy is going to be special because he is. So Matty Bush, the floor is yours.
Let's drink to me.
No, it's not.
Oh, wow.
I already gave you enough. I knew that was going to make me puke.
There's no breaking news that Shakur was going to be a star. I mean, we can give you more.
You said it first, is what I'm saying. He was the first one to say it.
You want to drink go ahead.
I said it first, bro.
Yeah, but if you want to drink to something, drink to him saying Albert Bell is going to be a star. That's something to drink to because no one knows that, but the whole boxing community knew that Shakur Stevenson was a star.
Yeah, we all did, and we've had conversations about it. But you know what? To go back, I don't like the fact that he started out as kind of a humble young man, and he has grown into kind of a ASS
You can say ass. You can say ass.
You can't say that. Just let him spell it. I
Okay.
don't care.
Okay, all right. So he's kind of grown into a little bit of a prick. And
All right, you said it. That's it. What else? What's the point you're making, man? This is Rich's time right now.
all right, Richie, I love you. Do it, brother. All right.
Thank you.
Look, having him number one, this was easy. Again, when I'm asked what is next for him, it is getting out of this division. He unified, or got the lineal Ring Magazine title that has not been given in like almost 20 years. So, this was not hard at all. We could have just skipped over this division because this was a foregone conclusion. Shakur's a beast. I don't like the showboating either, and I think he's going to fix that. I think he got booed. He got booed at MSG because it was a heavy Oscar Valdez crowd. But like, still, Billy Joe Saunders was getting booed against David Lemieux. And after that fight, he said, "I want to earn your respect, and I understand why you're booing me, but I want you guys to learn to love me." And I wish he would have done that. But Shakur is a young guy. At some point in his career, we will probably hear him say that. At least I hope so.
I hope so too.
All right, and the one I'll let I'm going to end with Matty Bush here because he said in production here he made a prediction before about Shakir Stevenson coming up here that I just gave him that credit for, but now he just says that he's going to, when he moves up to 135, he's going to what, Matty Bush?
He's going to clean that division out also.
I just don't see it, but we'll put that on record too because that's
put it on record.
I like
hey,
that.
That's on record.
Stamp it with my approval.
Don't worry, I'll get it notarized.
Yeah.
We don't. They don't have any notary republics up there, or notary publics up there. But anyway, that's our list. Stevenson 1, Valdez 2, Rakhimov 3, Conceição 4, Herring 5, Foster 6, Santa Cruz 7, Gutierrez 8, Garcia is 9, Colbert 10, Bell 11, Ogawa 12, Galahad 13, Roach 14, Alberto Lopez 15. That's our list. What'd we do? What'd you think? 130. That's our decision, and Stevenson wins the Bruising Boxing title at 130 because he is unanimous. So congratulations there, and he is undefeated, just like Raider Live is undefeated. So we got that in common too, and we're both good. We're both good showboaters too. So that's our list. What do you guys say? Put it in the comments below. Let us know where we got it right and where Matty Bush got it wrong, and we will probably answer it in the comments below. So with that being done, let's move on with the show. Well, if you're still with us, I warned you about the show this week. It's the long ones. The bruise part of the Bruising Boxing seems to add up a little further on the Filthy Five shows. But we had a big fight this weekend, Bruising Previews. It's Canelo versus Bivol. Canelo back in the ring. We're going to compare these two here. We're going to break down who's going to have to do what to win. These guys both coming in at 31 years old. Bivol at 6 feet tall, and Canelo much shorter, 5'9". Similar reach. He's at 70.5 for Canelo, 72 for Bivol, so not that far off. Only an inch and a half. Both fight orthodox fighters. Canelo comes in with 57 wins, 39 of them by knockout. That's a 68% KO percentage at home, with the one loss to Mayweather and 2 draws, which he's lost more to Triple G, but this is official. And Bivol comes in with 19 wins, 11 of them by knockout. That's a 58% KO percentage. No losses, no stops, no draws. Bivol's only been around since 2014, and believe it or not, Canelo's been around since 2005. 436 rounds of 148. That's the breakdown of the tape. But to break down what's going to happen to how they're each going to win, we're going to start with James. James, you tell me what Bivol's got to do to win this fight against the seemingly unstoppable force of Canelo Alvarez.
Well, this is going to be tough. Bivol is not flashy by any means. He is a very technical fighter. He had a lot of power probably 6 fights ago for like a 12 KO streak, and then just stopped. Not really sure what happened because he hasn't really moved into any divisions or anything like that, but that kind of slowed down. But it has not changed his precision, his technical ability, his generalship, any of that stuff. So what he's going to have to do to win this fight is he's going to have to stay away from Canelo. He's going to have to use his jab, which he has a very good one, to be honest. He's going to have to use his jab, use his straight, I'm not really sure if it's going to be able to actually hit Canelo in the abdomen, the lower half. Why
Face
am I having a really hard
Body.
time? The
Hit him
body.
in the body.
Jesus, that's what I'm trying to remember. He's got to
There's the
hit him
head
in
and the body.
He's going to have to, head, body, head. He's going to have to harness your inner Mickey Ward, head, body, head, and then get the hell out of there. Because if he doesn't do that and gets too lax and gets too predictable, he's going to have to change it up a little bit. 3 rounds, change it up for 3 rounds, change it back to 3 rounds. He's going to, once he gets predictable, that's when Canelo's going to capitalize. So if he stays unpredictable, he stays at distance, and he keeps that jab and hits the body, that's going to be the key to victory, in my opinion, for Dimitri Bivol beating Canelo Alvarez.
That's a very interesting thing, because I forgot to mention that this fight is at 175, and Canelo obviously moving up to 175 to fight this. Bivol been a consistent 175 his whole career, and it's so weird to hear that the bigger guy in Bivol has to stay away from Canelo, but it's true. I mean, you're right. That's how he's going to win the fight. He's got to stay away from a smaller Canelo. Canelo, the huge counterpuncher. But Filthy Rich, Canelo comes in as the favorite, obviously, in this fight. What's he going to have to do to win this fight at 175? The first real big challenge at 175 he's ever taken on.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to even find any flaws in Canelo's game. So there's nothing I can really say that would, hey, Canelo, listen to me. I'll tell you what to do. There is nothing I can tell. Canelo knows exactly what to do, and he's been doing it for the last several fights. I have a little stat here I want to pull up. His last 4 fights, his opponent's combined record 99-2. This guy is just beaten the best there is. And those 2 losses were actually from what Yildirim was the only one who had 2 losses. So he has been beating guys with a combined record of 99-2. It's just crazy. I think what Canelo, I don't want to say has to do to win, but I guess what I expect him to do to win is to move forward and attack the body. You move forward and attack Bivol's body. James nailed it. Stay away from Canelo. I don't know how you're going to do that. Canelo's going to have to cut off the ring. I get it. But Canelo's going to go up in his, I don't know if it's really earmuff defense, but he's going to attack the body with his power. Does his power translate to 175? I guess we'll see. Can Bivol take the shots? Probably, but attack Bivol's body. The other thing I would say is, kind of go for the face. You broke Billy Joe Saunders' face. If you connect to the face and you break someone's face, that is the end of the fight too. So I think that is all I can add for what I expect Canelo to do to win this fight. Move forward, attack the body, and when the face is opened up, hit the face. Watch out for Canelo's cut the ring off, and watch out for his counter punching, because Canelo's a master at the counter punch.
Patty Bush, I have one thing I'm going to throw to you for counter on this, since they already broke this part down. Of the 3 champions at 175, there's Bivol, there's Beterbiev, and there's Joe Smith Jr. This seems to be the so-called easiest of the 3, but as Filthy Rich pointed out, it's a record of all the fighters that Canelo has fought. He fights the best. Is that, do you feel like that is the easiest of the 3, or are they all just kind of mixed in the same part at 175?
No.
It's just too hard to tell. Oh, he's on mute.
I'm sorry. You said it was a crazy show, and now he's crying. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I had a few brews.
I lost all train of thought. No,
I
I was
said,
gonna, and the worst thing I know
is Bivol the easiest one of the 3 champions at 175?
And I was gonna say absolutely not. Do we not remember that Bivol beat Joe Smith Jr. and broke his jaw? Do we not remember that? Does anyone remember that?
I remember. I'm
Yeah,
just throwing you a question. So
Okay, I'm just gonna say I agree with James, and all the talk on both sides. No, it's not the easiest fight. Bivol beat Joe Smith. Now Joe Smith is fighting Bivol, or Joe Smith's fighting Beterbiev. And I know Canelo's last task he wants, the big fight is against Beterbiev, the crazy Russian bear. Let's just say this: he's got to get through Bivol first, and it's going to be an issue. It's not going to be the easiest fight Canelo's ever had. Everyone thinks, oh, it's Canelo. Just because of his name, he's going to win. Let me say something. This man's going to have a hard fight in front of him. If anyone doesn't believe that, they don't watch boxing. They haven't watched a technical fighter with power at a natural weight. This is a big step up for Canelo. It's going to be difficult, and everyone should not hold their breath if something weird happens.
All right. Well, that was a good breakdown there. That's a good lead into our prediction segment here. By the way, if you live in Minnesota and have any Tecate, the judge is buying it and putting it outside his house. So if you bring Tecate, that's your free ticket in. It's a Canelo fight. Don't give me that look. Canelo fight, you bring the Tecate. That's what you do.
Yeah, you bring the Modelo. Come on,
Be
now,
bold.
let's do it.
Be bold. All right. Canelo comes in at minus 512, which is very interesting, moving up, being the smaller guy, minus 512. Bivol is a plus 382. So basically, you have to wager 512 to win 100 on Canelo. Each 100 you bet on Bivol wins you 382. What do you guys got? Predictions, Filthy Rich.
I think Canelo's gonna win. I think he is. Gosh, he's gonna. I think he's gonna. The Bivol. Yeah, I should have just had this written down. Just go with it. But I had nothing written down. The Bivol I remember a few years ago was a threat. The Bivol I've seen the last couple fights isn't. I think Canelo knocks Bivol out in about 10.
All right, so he's got knockout by Canelo in 10. Judge?
No. Unanimous decision, Alvarez, and I think it's probably going to be kind of lopsided, unfortunately. I think it's going to be like 10-3. Or that's
10-3.
Sorry, that's Teofimo Lopez.
Teofimo Lopez scoring up there.
We're like 9-3. 9-3. Sorry, 9-3. Math is hard.
Or are you gonna have a 10-3 round somehow?
I'm channeling my inner Matty Bush. All right.
There you go. Well, we have a real Matty Bush down here in the corner. Matty Bush, what's your prediction?
I want one man to win, and his name is Canelo Alvarez. I love him. I think Bivol upsets. I think Bivol wins. I'm calling it right now. I think Bivol sticks to the jab and goes technical, and he wins by UD.
Wow. You found judges that actually will go against Canelo?
And I'm going to say,
yeah,
and he knocks Canelo down once.
T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
You're going to find 3 judges that are going to go against Canelo Alvarez in Vegas after watching the Triple G fights. I'm sure LA Bird's doing this fight.
Hey, just remember, I'm the genius.
Got it.
Tang, the Jizza.
All right. Well, my prediction here is this is the first time that I want Canelo to win. It's crazy, but I want him to win because I want him to fight Triple G, and I think Triple G is going to have a good shot of beating him because if you're up at 175 and then you're coming back all the way down to fight Triple G at 168 or 160, it's going to be a tough drop, and you're going to lose that power coming down. So I want that Triple G fight to happen. I want Triple G to win and get the victory that he very much deserves. I want him to be the first one to beat Canelo officially since Mayweather. So that's what I'm going to go with, but I'm going to say Canelo is going to win. I'm kind of leaning with the judge on this one. I think he's going to win unanimous decision. I think he's going to take like the first 2-3 rounds and just kind of feel it out with the earmuff defense, like Filthy Rich said. Then he's just going to take over the fight, and Bivol's just not going to have much to do at him. I think he's going to hang on the ropes like you've seen when they fight all of Canelo's fight at 168, where he just gets a guy on the ropes and just dominates the taller, bigger guy. That's just what I see happening. Canelo's just going to win by unanimous decision. I don't see him knocking anybody out. But I just don't. This ain't the same Bivol. You're right, Filthy Rich. But I got Canelo by unanimous decision as well. So I got Canelo unanimous decision. Filthy Rich has got Canelo by knockout in 10. Judge, you have unanimous decision by Canelo, and Matty Bush has unanimous decision for Bivol because apparently this fight's in Russia all of a sudden that nobody knew about. But that's I just don't see that happening. But that's our predictions. What do you think? Put your predictions down below, and that's what we got. Are you saying Matty Bush, or say put the comments down below predictions?
Comments down below.
Okay, good.
Down below. I ain't got it.
I thought you were pointing at Matty Bush like he wants to say something. I'm like, no, he gets nothing else left. All right, that's our predictions. Big fight this weekend. Remember, if you're in Minnesota, bring over the Tecate over to Judge Jimmy James' house, and you get a free entry into the backyard.
Nope.
As much Tecate as you can drink. So
Incorrect.
I think you can get a keg of that for $30.
Be bolder.
Be bolder. Be bolder. You nothing. You are nothing. All right, that's our show. All right, that's not our show. That's our segment. Let's move on with the show. All right, that's our show this week. By the way, the judges that Matty Bush thinks are all going to go in Bivol's way are Tim Cheatham, Dave Moretti, and Steve Weisfeld, all veteran Canelo fighters. All of them two of them, Cheatham and Weisfeld, I believe, had the fight for Triple G when Triple G should have won. But anyway, that's irrelevant. He says that maybe somewhere else. As you can tell, it's a long show of our Filthy Five show. So our blood alcohol content's as high as the guy pictured behind me here, pretty high. So Filthy Rich, before he passes out, why don't you bring us on home?
Yeah, I mean, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend. Y'all be safe. On this day in 2014, Mayweather beat Marcos Maidana in 12. I still think there was who was my fight of the year? I can't remember my big fight, but Castillo Corrales was still my favorite Cinco de Mayo weekend fight. The Walk for Animals was this past weekend. Donate to your favorite animal charity, and I will drink to that.
Hey, we did. Remember, I sent that picture to you. Bruise and Boxing donated to the Humane Society this last week as well. So
I drank to Richie on that also.
I'm talking. We donated to the Animal Humane Society this weekend, courtesy of Bruise and Boxing. So go out there and do the same to animal shelters near you. Judge, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us? And if they're listening to us, where can they watch us and see Maddie Bush's beautiful, beautiful DUI picture behind me?
If you're watching this, and you want to listen to us, go to any major podcast site, type in Bruise and Boxing. If you're listening to us and you want to watch us, you're going to have to go to YouTube /Bruise and Boxing. Check us out and see how ridiculous Matt looks. And Filthy Rich with the fly tie. So,
and by the way, I want to point out, if you were trying to listen to last week's show on the podcast, we understand there was an accident where the wrong podcast got uploaded. It is fixed now. So if you missed last week's show, it is fixed now. So you can listen to last week's show on the podcast as well. And I hate to say it, but Maddie Bush, why don't you bring us some words of wisdom out the door?
Words of wisdom.
Oh my God. There it is. Couldn't make it.
I had to make it at the end. I'm sorry. First off, that's a 20-year-old picture because this is a 40-year-old man, and that was 20 years ago. And the other word of wisdom is I want to give a shout out to Tim and Ike from my work, and they just started watching the show. Shout out to you boys. You better damn like it.
Shout
Tim
out
and
to
Ike, I'll drink to you.
And shout out to Maddie Bush, who looks great in booty shorts. All right, for Filthy Rich, Judge Jimmy James, and Maddie Bush, thank you all very much. And we will see you guys next week.